Welcome back. You're still watching DAYBREAK, and it's time for us to have that conversation. Start by introducing the panel. Nelson Koech is the Member of Parliament for Belgut constituency and Chairperson, Defence, Foreign Relations and Intelligence Committee at the National Assembly. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Kenyans.
Diana Gishengo is the Executive Director at the Institute of Social Accountability. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Good to see you. And Robert Mbui is the Member of Parliament for Kathiani constituency, but also the Deputy Minority Leader at the National Assembly. Good morning.
Morning, Sam. Morning, viewers.
And you've been away for long.
Some we were on recess.
Yeah,
just come back, and I was, I think, recovering from the unfortunate impeachment of our deputy president. Yeah, so I had to take a low profile. He went to the mountain, me, I went to the village.
You didn't attend the swearing in of Professor Kindiki?
I was in the village. I was mourning. You know, I'm looking at someone whose future was destroyed by, a stroke of a pen. Because, once you're impeached, you probably have no other opportunity of vying for office for another 10 years. Right. In which case, he would be much older than he is now and probably incapable.
Forever?
I don't know. There's a haggle. I think there's a discussion, and probably the courts are going to decide whether it is forever.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it can be quite devastating for anyone. So this is someone I served with for 5 years, and I didn't see the reason to kick him out in that way.
Right.
Yes.
And of course, I will be getting to hear from you on what the people of Kathiani think about different issues of national importance. This morning on the front page of the Daily Nation, Ruto taxes create two classes of Kenyans. Since President Ruto took office 26 months ago, he has raided the pay slips of salaried Kenyans 3 times, 4 for those who earn over 500,000 shillings. Most recently in October, all the deductions have been effected on the pay of both private and public servants. The latter have a soft landing from fat allowances and pay increments, which help cushion them from the full impact of the new taxes. It is a story that is on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. And Kenya Revenue Authority, the agency at the center of Ruto's aggressive tax regime, is reporting a decline in pay-as-you-earn tax collection, thanks to redundancies declared by private firms nearly driven out of business. And declining pay, effects of the new levies and taxes. Some hospitals have refused to accept the new medical insurance. Workers in the private sector are grappling with declining salaries as companies struggle under the weight of high costs and poor demand. As per the lender's calculations, the salary increases to teachers, civil servants, and workers in the security sector will cost the government an additional 16 billion shillings. And of course, this raises a question at a time that we've been hearing that inflation has declined to, is it 2.7%? And I think Professor Kindiki is speaking about it in one of the earlier clips that we listened to, also talking about the declining prices of fuel. That's a story that we find with the Standard at the front page, the good, bad, ugly of Rutonomics. And you'll see that fuel prices have declined by 6.7% for diesel, 4.3% for petrol. The exchange rate has improved from 158 shillings to the dollar to 127 shillings. Or if you're looking at different commercial banks, it could go up to about 130 shillings, but for sure there has been a change. Then the public debt, as a percentage of GDP, it's now 67%, largely because of what has happened to the foreign exchange. Let me just get a quick take from the panelists, and also just to say that Gabriel Muthuma, the deputy government spokesperson, has now reached our studios. Good morning, Gabriel.
Sam Gituko, good morning.
Good to see you.
Nice seeing you. Asante sana for the invitation.
It's been a long time. Sijakuona siku mingi.
Ulinitoroka.
No.
But I'm still around.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Right. And Diana, I begin with you on this. As we talk about, because the past few days or weeks, we've had even the National Treasury talking about how great the economy is doing with inflation at 2.7%. But also the contrast to that, contrary to that, you find that report on the Daily Nation about the raiding of the payslip. What are Kenyans supposed to be feeling at the moment?
Kenyans, what we are supposed to be feeling?
Because there is drop in inflation.
If the economy was working, if it had gone down, if what is being reported at the macro level is correct, Kenyans would be happy. Kenyans would be in shops spending. Traffic would have resumed on all highways on Fridays and Sundays. It is yet to resume. We would be seeing even the members of parliament who are here and the executive would be very happy with the ability to invest in public services and even infrastructure. We are not there. We are not there as yet. Definitely, it's whatever has happened, particularly with the interest rate, is a step in the right direction.
Right.
Inflation matrices, and I would like for people in Treasury and CBK to come and explain to us how this has gone down. To the best of my knowledge, what has significantly contributed to this is the better agricultural produce in this country, where then most households in Kenya, even without financial income, they have food for their families. And we also had some surpluses that saw our agricultural produce and export grow.
Right.
And this has contributed to that. Has this resulted in more money in people's pockets? Not yet. Not yet, not in people's businesses. And you can see that linkage very clearly with the declining collection of pay as you earn within private institutions. I'm hoping government will come and tell us how well they are doing in remittances of pay as you earn, of NSSF, of NHIF, SHIF, and so on. But the reports by government remain that. They are government reports. The Kenyan people are yet to share in the same. And when they do, you will see. Okay. And they will tell the truth.
Okay. Yeah. You say government reports are just government reports. Honorable Mbui, what are Kenyans in Kathiani feeling?
You know, I've read that report, and I'm in shock because, honestly, like Diana has said, when it comes to improvement of the economy, the people feel it.
Right.
I mean, in the streets, people would be happier, and you know, and things would be happening. But you know, when you talk about, you know, this is very contradictory. One side, they're saying the economy is improving, things are getting better. At the same time, they're saying the person who collects taxes, KRA, says we are collecting less because there is less people employed, because there are less people earning. At the same time, another report here tells us that there is creation of 2.1 million jobs. I mean, these are contradictory, you know, contradictory reports. So for me, I think I'll depend on what I see.
Right.
When I go to the village, people are still struggling. The cost of living has dropped a little bit because of agricultural produce, and again the international cost of fuel, which has not even reflected very highly in the cost of fuel on the pump. I mean, the drop is very small. And you know what happens with our you know, our general consumers, like travelers, the cost of, you know, fare doesn't drop. It just continues, remains at the same rate. It only goes up. It never comes down. So at the end of the day, I don't think Kenyans are enjoying much of the few benefits that are there. But it's true that there are things like, you know, the exchange rate has improved. You know, so there are some basic indicators that things are a little better. But I wouldn't say that it is... we are out of the woods yet. I think we still have a long way to go, because somehow will tell you that in 2022, 2023, the country went through quite a bit of you know, economic beating, and a lot of companies closed and left the country, and so it's going to take a while before we can recover. Maybe by 2027, we may, if things continue, we may go back to where we were before. Yes.
So I'll get to you, Honorable Koech, but Gabriel, how do you explain this? Because people have been saying that government statistics are not necessarily being felt in the pockets of Kenyans, but also in their households. How do you explain this?
Thank you, Sam. First of all, I think with what Mheshimiwa has said, we may not be there yet, but at least they can attest to one thing, that we are no longer heading in the wrong direction. Things are actually looking up. Things are actually
How do you know
better.
that?
Things they will get better. By the way, you've read. Wait, no. You've just read something, Sam. You've just read something, and I think I can repeat. Inflation down from 9.2.
Yep.
Our exchange rate obviously, we know it's down from 160 now to, you know, the dollar rate. That one you can see. The fuel has been going down, yeah. The public debt, you know, 67% to the GDP has come lower. Those are interventions. They just didn't happen. These things don't just happen. So there are interventions that, you know, have been put by the government, and they are heading us in the right direction. Now, we have to be alive to this fact, whether we like it or not. We are coming from a very dark place where global disruption with COVID and what have you. Yeah, this was not only for Kenya, but for the entire world. So all of us are coming from a very dark place. We've been hit not only by severe drought, we've been hit by floods, which also affected our agriculture. But today, we are talking something very different. Food, if we are to be honest again, whether we say it's being felt or not, food items have gone down. When you look at UNGA, that is just a fact. And when you say, oh, statistics and polls, where are they coming from? Yes, some may come from CBK Treasury, but there are others that are coming from the World Bank. And as you say, you have global bodies that are in bed with government to mislead Kenyans. I don't think that is the case. So yes, things are heading in the right direction. It may not just happen just as once, but they are heading in the right direction. How do they head in the right direction? When you put interventions that work, Sam.
And at the same time, incomes are shrinking. You're aware of that?
You see, when I told you, you head in the right direction, that is the first step you make. And I'll tell you something, again, which we most of the time miss. You know, you can enjoy and you can have a very good way of living, as my good sister here was saying. You can enjoy with somebody else's money. You can actually throw a party. The mere fact that we are not moving in the debt direction. It is hard, yes, when we say we won't borrow as much, when we realize that this country is deep in debt and we start doing the interventions
so let me ask you, Gabriel, even if inflation is to fall to 2.7% as reported, but at the same time, salaries, and let me use an example of, an unusual example just to illustrate. Right. A person earning $1 million shillings, between October 2022 and October 2024, their salaries have declined by at least 57,000 shillings, which is a product of NSSF, higher contributions, housing levy, as well as SHIF, and of course, what happened to the pay-as-you-earn new bands of 32.5% and 35%. So how do you reconcile that?
Sam, actually, that's a very good question. And there's a reason as to why. You've talked about the contributions of something like SHA. And that's a very good indicator if we are to pick from there. We, as government, we are looking forward to ensuring that every Kenyan is covered. NHIF, as all of us know, was just covering 20% of our population. If we are to be honest, it actually assumed more like a private club, the people who could afford. Now we are heading to the universal healthcare, which already 14 million plus people have already registered, and it's still heading the right direction. We've dropped that. The contribution, which was 500 now, comes to about 300, not for everybody. But the most important thing, Sam, which we must all of us appreciate, is that now we have an environment, when we talk about universal healthcare, that is commensurate. It did not make sense, Sam. It will never make sense unless there is fair contribution. So if you made $1 million, Sam, why would you feel bad if you pay 2.7 of that to SHA? Yeah? To a healthcare which you know will be able to take care of nearly all of us, right? Why should I feel bad?
Have you looked at the benefits?
They are there.
Which?
They are there, and we can go again to all the benefits of SHA. Sam, don't take us there, but let me just explain to you the questions that you really asked, the shrinking pay slips.
Yep.
Yeah, you cannot say that just because people are being asked to pay their fair share, it puts them at a disadvantage. The question we should be having is, will this contribution be used wisely? That is the conversation we should be having. So if Sam, you are making 150,000, just an example, somebody else was making $1 million, they are contributing the same to a model that we expect to change lives, and then you say there's fairness? No. First of all, we put an environment that is fair, a tax regime that is fair to all of us. In fact, that is a global standard to all first world countries. Okay. The first thing you do is be fair to everyone. Now, you're not asking somebody to pay gazillions.
Sorry, I want to hear from Honorable Koech, but so SHIF is a tax regime?
SHIF is not, you're saying about the contribution to SHIF. It's not a tax regime, it's a contribution.
Just told
Same way. No.
You just told me.
No, no. I was talking overall to set up a tax regime. It's no longer now about SHIF. It's a tax regime that is fair to all of us.
Tax regime that is fair to all of us.
Correct.
SHIF falls under that, right?
Sure.
Shisha.
Honorable Koech.
Sure, not SHIF.
Shisha.
Sure. Sure is the authority.
It's okay, yeah. Gabriel. Yeah. Honorable Koech, what do you make of this? The contrast between the figures versus the feeling in the pocket?
First, has been enumerated by those who have spoken before me, it's clear that we were in a very difficult situation. And I like what Gabriel did say, that we are on the right trajectory. You must remember that we've not defaulted, as had been anticipated by different financial institutions, that as a country, we were likely to default. I mean, some of our neighbors did default. We've not defaulted. When I remember the first time that I came here on this show, just immediately after elections, there were mandamano of all this unga business. And I remember Kione with his sufuria, and my friend here, Robert Mbui, also carrying sufuria somewhere on the streets. But right now, that is a thing of the past.
We thank God for
as a country, I think we've made tremendous progress. But there is something that we are also forgetting, particularly on the questions that you've asked in terms of the feeling that the government is overtaxing. And I'd like us to look at, there's something that Honorable Moses Kuria did say a while back, that every year, 1.1 trillion is paid to the civil service, who are 968,000, of a population of more than 50 million. Is that fair? I mean, then it means that those of us who are privileged to be employed must carry the rest of the nation with us. That is the only policy on how it works. And in my view, it sounds punitive. It sounds painful. But then, Sam, the question also should be, then where will the government generate its revenue? What are we looking at? People want fair services. People want Medicare. People want, transport and all those sorts of things, and social services.
Okay, Honorable Koech, allow me to disrupt you for a moment, because we need to listen to